Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Bowman spins.
Stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain runs is complete.
Sonic to the inside.
Shadow wins at Brazil. Absolutely sensational.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WOR Xbox Tier 1. That is right, we are back for the Canadian Grand Prix. I have the fake, real Ryan Jacobs with me again. No, I've got Steve. I've got Steve again. He's filling in this wonderful position again for Xbox Tier 1, and it's great to have you alongside me yet again, Ryan. I mean, Steve.
Hello everyone. I'm back. I took a week off. I let Ryan fill in last week for Belgium, so I weren't really feeling up to it. So, but yeah, I'm back here once again. Hopefully we'll have a good race around Canada, and it is one of my personal favourite tracks. I may not be good at it on the game, but I enjoy racing around it. But it is a track where a lot of driver skill is involved, so hopefully we'll see a very entertaining race today.
Well, I am almost certain it's going to be an incredibly entertaining race. We are just waiting for the drivers to get themselves ready up in the lobby on my screen to my left-hand side. I'm not sure which way it's showing on your side. They're at home, but news from the Belgium Grand Prix last time out. Smokey takes the victory in the end in Belgium with Sider in second and VSR Wilson in third, which opens a little bit of a wormhole, so to speak, in Otis's massive reign.
Yeah, it really does. Of course, unfortunately, getting the penalty 5 seconds added onto his time. I think he finished 5th in the end due to it, so dropped down quite a bit of the way. But yeah, I think that's now 2 races where he has not got the race win overall, and maybe his dominance is coming to an end due to these incidents.
Could very well be, but there's some new faces in WR Tier 1 this week. We've already seen, we've already spoken about Finbob, FRA Finbob, and other FRA drivers coming in to the mix. We've obviously got a few drivers that are FRA bound at the moment, where Matthew being one of them, but we are seeing the screen, or we've seen the screen, it's absolutely pouring it down in qualifying, and this could, I mean, we don't know what's happening in the race, but this could cause an absolute entertainment spectacular for the race, because some people will go for qualifying pace out and out so they can get higher up in the grid, especially if it's dry. We don't know what strategy he's going to do, and it might mix the whole grid up. I would love to see, we've already mentioned a few times about a few drivers here. Imagine Choco pole or Choco front row of the grid. That would be cracking to see.
Yeah, it would be really good to see some of the drivers that haven't really had the best of seasons so far really sort of be up at the top end of the order. So this rain really is a leveler. Some drivers might not even done rain practice, so it will be a whole new experience for them. And yes, it could bring some of the faster drivers down, like Otis or someone like Smokey, and it can really throw this whole session into the air. And of course, a track like Canada is very unforgiving, and we could maybe see some costly mistakes in this session.
I'm almost certain there is going to be mistakes in qualifying, which is going to cost them big time. I mean, I will cast people's minds back down to now I've got to make sure I get it right. 2011 Canadian Grand Prix, when Jenson Button was coming through the field, and we saw a Sebastian Vettel, a near impossible mistake to make at it was turn 6, I think, going wide, just entering, and there we go. Jenson Button makes the move, wins the race. I mean, this could be something similar. Otis making a mistake on the final lap of the race and something happening, or we could see someone, I'm going to pick a random name, McCabe Sam maybe going out, doing an incredible job up at the front of the grid, being hounded all race long by Otis, makes a mistake and costs him dearly. This is the wonderful thing about this track.
Yeah, it really is that no matter what weather it is, the mistakes will always come out at one point around this circuit. And yeah, that 2011 race is probably one of the most key moments that leading isn't the most comfortable in any forms of racing. And maybe we'll see it from a big guy up top making a mistake on the final lap, and we'll see what happens in the race.
We certainly will. Let's have a quick look at the standings, and well, it's quite a commanding lead Otis has at the top of the lead on the leaderboard. It's 42 points for Otis at the moment, but Smokey with that win claiming 96 points. It's he's closing in, but he's still got a hell of a lot of work to get himself up there. But there's someone who's not had the best of lucks that people thought might be able to challenge Otis this season, FRA Matthew.
Yeah, he's probably been the unluckiest, one of the most unluckiest drivers of this season. I mean, I think he also got the win taken away from him around Silverstone, and that wasn't really what he wanted to get his championship back. But yeah, he's been very unlucky so far, and as I say, usually it's never over until you're mathematically out of a chance. But maybe Matthew can get a win round here and really just try and rekindle that championship charge that everyone thought he would do at the start of the season.
And we're talking about whether Otis would be able to handle the wet weather. He's already nearly a second clear of Seta in P2, the McLaren driver, not able to hook up a full lap. But there we go, someone's lost it, and we'll stay on board maybe with PSR Sav and see if that car of VSR Finn, who was incredible at Silverstone, and his car is massively out of this race. And after ploughing into the wall, he's managed to make P4, but that is not what you want at all as a driver.
No, it certainly isn't, especially in the conditions like this where the track will be constantly improving, the times will get ever quicker, and especially going out so early in this session, it really does make his lap time near enough void, because it might even get to dry at the end of the session if the rain stops and enough drivers are out on the circuit. But yeah, that's a big mistake there by Finn, and I don't think he should have really taken so many risks so soon.
Yeah, it's such a shame for Finn. It could just be a clip of it could be anything. He could even have got himself into an incident. We just don't know. It was all over very, very soon. FRA Placky then, as he goes through the last corner to set his lap time. Can he do anything against his teammates' time in the wet? It's intermediate conditions. It's only up to P6 or 17 dead. But you're exactly right. if it dries up, VSR Finn, has an awful lot of hard work to do.
Yeah, I mean, Placky being 1.3 off his FRA teammate and Mercedes teammate Otis there really shows how fast Otis really is on the track, as McCabe Sam goes up to second with a good lap there, about 3 tenths ahead of Chandler, and then about six tenths off Otis Lawrence. But I mean, Otis absolutely dominating out in front, but the track does seem like it is drying because the puddles are getting a bit more sporadic now, and maybe we will get to the soft compounded tyres, and maybe that's why so many drivers are sort of holding it to come out of the pit lane.
There is an awful lot of drivers in the pit lane throwing on a set of softs and just sitting there. We have got Choco, who is coming out on a set of intermediates. He's going to be starting a lap very, very shortly. I am certain of that. But here comes FRA Placky. He goes straight into the pit lane. He was up on his time, so he was obviously knows it's not going to be anything major for him to stay out. He might as well just go into the pits, get a set of softs on, ready to go. And I believe we actually have maybe somewhere on a lap. Is that PSR? Yeah, it is. PSR Connor coming out on the lap, as is PSR Levi, another new guy to WR Tier 1 Xbox anyway. These guys are, getting ready for the softs already, even though it's still raining slightly.
Yeah, it seems like this track has dried up massively in the first about 8 minutes of this session, and they're already going out on the softs. I mean, some of them might wait a bit longer just so they know the track is a bit better, a bit drier for them to really push on, but the likes of Otis, Connor, they're all coming out now, getting on those softs, seeing what they can do early on, and maybe try use that to build for their final runs in the session.
So I think maybe we should go on board with one of the Ferrari drivers who's got the set of softs on. I was on with Connor, but his teammate Levi is far higher in far closer to starting his lap time. Let's see what he can do. It looks like the rain has stopped. Otis Lawrence is out on lap as well. This could be where we see how much time can be gained by these drivers. There is someone who's going incredibly slowly, and it looks like a McLaren driver in sector 3 there. But as we see PSR Levi then heading into turns 3 and 4 here. We must remember the time where Lewis and Seb came together as well. Seems like a track where Seb is known for a few mistakes.
Yeah, but Levi did also make a mistake there, it seems, on his lap, and went a bit wide through the corner. But Seb obviously does not have the greatest of luck around this circuit, and Levi's rounding in the wall on the exit, I think, of turn 10, and he's in the wall, and that is his lap over and done with. And as actually the Aston Martin of, I think, might be McCabe Sam runs over that debris. No puncher though, but yeah, Levi making that mistake. That's the end of his lap, and he'll have to pull into the pit lane and try and make it round without his front wing.
This is wow, massive is that, but there goes Otis Lawrence, a 12.8, but it was Finn Bob who was the Aston Martin driver that you mentioned, and across the line for Finn Bob in his debut is a 13.7, not too far away from PSR Sav there, and there goes PSR Connor with a 13 dead across the line. That is quite good lap times for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it really is to get this close to Otis so early on, but what I just saw was that during their laps, neither Otis or Connor had DRS down the straights. It only just got re-enabled when they were halfway through their laps, so that's why Lacey has gone 2 tenths quicker probably than Otis. Well, I mean, it could just be off pure pace, but Otis was missing a DRS zone on his lap, and that really might have cost him so far in this session, but he still can come out for another run with 8 minutes left on the clock. Yeah,
plenty of time, especially with Levi as well, having that front wing change. Plenty of time there. Smokey having a little bit of a wobbly moment out of the hairpin into turn 11. Back end massively stepped out. There goes faster time from a Mercedes driver. And Smokey setting exactly pretty much the same time as Placky with that massive wobble which cost him, I would say, a good... and there he does it again. So it's costing him massive amount of time. So these guys will definitely be looking at going quicker. And here it goes, WR Wilson across the... well, starting his lap time, I think, because a 1:31 for him is probably a very slow lap time.
Yeah, Wilson is obviously starting up a new lap as he now heads through into 3 and 4. He does get that nicely, but maybe that's why Levi made so many mistakes, is that the track was never dry enough, as McCabe Sam goes up into the 11.2, so the times are obviously tumbling very quickly. But yeah, so Levi probably making the mistakes. The track weren't dry enough for DRS, so obviously might have lit up the rears a bit too much for his liking. But as we see Wilson now heading through the middle sector split. What is it through the middle sector? It's a 42.2, apparently purple, but we cannot trust the game. So into the hairpin, nicely done on the exit, keeping a tight line just to make sure he can use a bit of understeer to go out wide on the exit. So now heading down the longest straight on the circuit and into the final chicane as Akos goes into P1 with an 11.0. I think that is actually Wilson's teammate. Can he beat that? Will Wilson come across the line and beat it? It's a 10.7. Wilson goes on to provisional pole.
Cracking lap time from him. I'm just seeing who would be next. Very likely to be Sider, who's coming around turn 10. The hairpin at the moment. And it's a purple again. PSR Fern, though, putting a 109.9. So the lap times are tumbling. And that is a hell of a lap in comparison to Wilson. 0.8 of a second. Here comes Sider down the back. Well, I say the back straight. The last straight before the start-finish straight. Pretty much into the wall of champions goes the Williams driver. And across the line, it's only P2 with a 10.2.
Yeah, that's not really what Schizo wanted there with being behind Fern so far in this session. But Fern, that's actually a really good lap. He has been a quick driver in recent times, and that has just shown how quick he really is. But we still do have the likes of Levi, Choco, Otis, Connor to even still do their second laps on the softs. As I say, Levi goes quickest, only just though, by around about 16 hundredths of a second, thousandths, sorry, of a second, and he goes into provisional pole.
Right, let's have a look at the McLaren of Chandler Sater as he comes down past turn 12, which is just a tiny little kink, and into 13. It's nice and tight, but too tight to the apex, and it's invalidated his lap time. It's a Haas then now next on my list anyway, as I think that's Otis ahead of him. We won't check on him. We'll check on board with Choco as he runs down into turn 13. The Haas driver again taking too much, but there goes Otis Lawrence, a 109.4. He's provisional pole.
Yeah, Otis just showing how unstoppable he is compared to the weather, and yeah, going a whole 0.5 of a second ahead of the nearest driver in Levi. His pace has just been really, really insane in qualifying, as that was Finn Bob actually going up into P4 with a 10.0, so a very decent lap there from the Aston Martin driver. And yeah, Otis seeming incredibly quick, and really is pushing for that pole position early on.
And Matthew then throwing himself into P2 with a 109.7 there. I thought it might be Shazoo Lacey then putting a lap time in, but he dives straight into they drive straight into the pit lane with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, or just over that anyway. WR Smokey then is on an attack. He's attacking through turn 12, coming down the start, coming down this last straight before the start finish straight. The tricky wall of champions corner of chicane. He's got to take massively close, or agonizingly close to breaking his front wing, but he throws himself provisional P2 for the time being. That's a very, very good lap time there from him after his win last time out. Amin unable to get through that last chicane properly, and we've got a little bit of a lull on track at the moment then, with a lot of drivers still in the pit lane, and it's VSR Akos in P9 who is probably going to be the first to set the final laps.
Yeah, I mean, Smokey made a mistake on his lap going out of turn 8, I think, and that really did cost him a bit of time. Maybe not 2.5 tenths of, well, 3 tenths nearly of a second, but it did cost him a bit of time, so he could have been a bit closer to Otis, but he has been really struggling with the rear-end grip on his car so far this session, but Akos, yeah, will be the first one round unless he lets through. That is no, that's Amine. Probably Amine is actually on a lap, but is coming into the pit lane and maybe ending his session. But Amine now heading down the longest straight, and that's sort of the only way you can really call it around here because it's not a back straight. But now we're heading in to the final chicane. Nicely done, using a lot of momentum to fly over those curbs. And now Amine, what will he do as he comes across the line? It's a 10.4 and it's P8 for the Alfa Romeo.
Let's see who else. It could very well be Otis that is getting himself ready for a lap. Or is it Axe, actually? Let's see Axe as he's coming down this last straight. Into 13 and 14 he goes. And not as close to the wall of champion as some of the other drivers have been tonight so far, but across the line for Axe, a previous race winner. He's improved. It's P12, but he's still quite some time away from what we would expect from him.
Yeah, it is quite far from Axe, but I don't know if that was. It says he improves, but I don't know if he's actually was going for it. His battery's already up to 100%, and he is. It's very confusing with what Axe is doing now. I think he might be doing 2 outlaps instead, but it didn't actually come up with his time. I think he might have been on an outlap actually, but yeah, that's confusing from what's going on with Axe at the minute. But most drivers are now starting their laps, and Akos is on his, heading down the straight into the final 2 corners, the chicane, but he's going to get a bit of traffic in the McLaren, and he has gone straight into the pit lane, and that is the end of his session.
That could be problematic for the McLaren. I'm not sure which one it was. I think that could very well be Lacey. Then that's the one trouble. It's similar to Monza in that respect. You can get yourself caught up in these gaggle of cars, and it costs drivers massively. I think Otis Lawrence, we've got to go on board with him as he comes around into the hairpin for the final time in qualifying for his lap. He hasn't got long left. He's currently 2.5 tenths, if not more, clear than any other competitor at the moment, and he wants to put it to bed today. He wants to get this qualifying time done. He doesn't want to get beaten. He wants another win under his belt here in WR Xbox Tier 1 as well. Very close to the wall of champions, and there's nothing doing at the moment. And across the line for the championship leader, it's a 109.1.
Wow, I don't actually think Smokey made it to the line either, so he couldn't actually set a flying lap. And that is sort of not what Smokey really wanted, as Fern goes into P2 with a 9.5. He's showing his pace around this circuit, but Sav goes even quicker with a 9.4. So many drivers now splitting each other. Matthew has invalidated. Skits has gone up into P2. And many drivers now going inside the top 10 and sort of splitting up this grid nicely.
Is Wilson able to cross the line? It's only P9 for Wilson, so that is qualified. Axe is P13. McCabe Sam 11th. Matthew possibly, I couldn't get to see in time, but I think he might have got some. There was damage on his car. I'm not sure. When I quickly checked on board with him, I'm not sure if that front wing was fully intact or not, but it is, surprise, surprise, Otis Lawrence on the front row of the grid. But for first time in a while, it's Sider alongside him in second place for the Williams driver. PSR Sav in third, fourth going to PSR third, PSR Levi in fifth. That is a very stacked PSR grid from third to fifth there. Janza Sater in sixth, seventh going to WR Smokey. Matthew only able eighth there, ninth to WR Wilson, but this is not WR anymore. Shazoo Lassie in 10th, 11th to McCabe Sam, and then it's M Racer, Finn Bob, Axe, PSR Connor, Choco, Amin, Akos, Placky, and VSR Finn, who crashed out very early doors, and it's cost him massively there. And, well, kind of what we were expecting in the end, but that wet start obviously costing Finn quite massively, but yeah, I think it added a little bit of spice early doors, but kind of I don't, obviously Levi. I'm trying to get my words out here. Sorry, Steve, but Levi, you know, losing ground with no full traction. The wet seemed to have cost him, but he's able to come back out and fight for P5 for qualifying anyway. But it's looking very dry out there. It's looking like it'll be a dry race.
Yeah, same old with our pole sitter, but yes, it's a few surprises in there about how quick drivers have been over the course of the season and all that. But Fern up in P4, a very good qualifying session by his standards. He's not really had the best of luck in these sessions in the previous few races. I mean, Matthew and Smokey quite far down the order than they have been the past few times, and Smokey not being able to make it to the line was a real big factor to his actual qualifying position down in 7th place. As it seems like most drivers are going to be on the hard tyre for the race today, as yeah, Finn not having the best of luck with the wets. I keep saying trying to get my words out as well. I'm struggling too. But Finn, he really didn't really want that with the intermediate start crashing out. It really did affect, like, he's now starting from the back, and we do see some drivers not in their preferred positions, but we are looking around this circuit into a very entertaining race.
Definitely, and it's great to see someone, you know, Fern, who's quick anyway. You've got to be quick to get to tier 1 of Xbox WOR, but it's good to see him higher up than we would usually see. We've seen him struggle of recent weeks, so as well as perform quite well as well. It's a two-way thing there for him, unfortunately. But again, Matthew, I mean, higher than we've expected, in a not in a mean way, but because of his troubles. 8th is quite high. However, it's still not perfect for him. That front wing damage through qualifying hampered him massively. It's costing him this bad luck. It's costing him massively.
Yeah, it really is costing. He hasn't. I mean, the bad luck can sort of be resembled to his own driving style at times, but I mean, he can have those good races, and on his day, he is constantly at the top compared to some of the other drivers. But I mean, it's just not gone his way so far this season. Hopefully, this will turn it around in this race, and I'll hand over to you for the race start.
Yeah, the timing is very, very close to getting to... Well, there's no formation lap, but straight to the race. It means that I don't get a chance to quickly get ourselves ready with all the things we want, but we're on 5 red lights here at Montreal, and we go straight away. It looks like a really, really good start from Otis Lawrence. He's got the inside line. PSR Levi then fighting away with Fern, and it looks like he's got the position gained from him, as there seems to be a mistake for the McLaren of Lacey as he's dropping down the order a little bit. Finn Bob massively up as well. No one's changed in the top 6 though. FRA Matthews dropped down because WR Wilson's up 2 places into P7. He's an absolute incredible start. The Haas of Choco are trying to get past Lacey in the background there, and into the inside goes the Haas, but it's just unable to make the move stick. But there looks like there could be a train starting, or a gap starting to build in that train. Connor down at the back of the grid as well. Was there anything I missed through all that, Steve?
I think there was actually a move. Well, Finn's gone up 4 places since the start of the race. He's had an absolutely flying start, and yeah, Connor being one of the biggest losers in the race already. But Otis having an absolutely incredible start and nearly breaking the DRS already to Cypher behind. And it seems that Axe and Placky were having a little bit of a scrap there, and Placky has really fallen off the back of the Williams. But this train is hopefully, by the time DRS is enabled, going to be very, very spicy very, very quickly.
WR Wilson looking to get past the McLaren of Sater in the background, and McCabe Sam and his teammate Finn Bob fighting away. But what a move from WR Wilson up the inside. and he's claimed the position. Smokey trying to get in on the action as well after dropping down, but there's just nothing doing at the moment. But WR Wilson is absolutely flying, and it just shows if you have a good qualifying, you could be up at the top. And I feel like he's got the pace. He should be at the pace to fight away with the likes of Otis and Scyther around this track.
Yeah, I mean, the qualifying wasn't really what he needed with the lap. I mean, it was a good qualifying, but it seems like he's mainly focused on the race trim and has really started this race with a bang, already up 3 places and focusing on Levi already, leaving Chandler sort of behind in the dust, and he really is focusing on trying to make his way up as fast as he can and through as many cars he possibly can as well.
Here comes Smokey then. Can he do anything into turn 13? He cannot on this stage at the moment. Scyther then pulling away from Sav in P3 as well. Could be all going off, but here comes Smokey up the inside of Scyther into turn 1. It looks like he's going to hold on, but he's going to have to hold the outside as the two exchange glances through turn 2, but the Red Bull driver gets through, and that looks like Choco, who's absolutely unfortunately binned it for him. Let's have a look at the tyres. It's only Matthew, it's only FRA Matthew and Finn who's dropped down again. All those places he's gained, he must have come together with Choco, who are on the medium compound tyres for this race.
Yeah, I think Finn did go together with Choco. I saw them both drop down the order at the same time at turn 1, and yeah, I mean, the alternate strategy can work depending on when safety cars fall or if you have the legitimate pace. But Matthew going now down the inside of Chandler into the hairpin. There's a bit of contact made, but he gets the move done with a bit of aggression, a bit forcefully. But the alternate strategy really needs to try and work for these two, as they'll be a bit slower coming near the end of this race.
Yeah, we've still got a little bit of this race to go. 35 laps, as there is movement a little bit. A few cars going side by side at the moment. Finn Bob losing a place to M-Racer, and now losing a place to Lacey as well. Akos and Axe fighting away for the battle of P15. But look at this already. 2 seconds is the gap between PSR Sav and Scyther for the battle for P2. And look at that. That is just showing a difference in, I don't want to say class, but the class that Otis has, because he's pulling away from Scyther as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely been rapid since the race start. I mean, they've both used near enough all of their ERS so far out in front compared to some of the other drivers. But, I mean, they're sort of in a bit of a field of their own at the minute, unless a safety car comes out. And I feel like they'll just keep pulling and pulling away until they sort of cannot get catched unless there's a safety car. So yeah, they definitely have had the pace since the beginning and have sort of not really looked back at the field behind.
Third then, can he do anything? He seems to have got a good exit out of 13, but let's see if it is good enough to catch Sav. Sav has already started to harvest, and it's just not good enough. And in the background, Wilson attacking PSR Levi, and that's it. He's up a position as well. Wilson has had an absolute stormer of a start of this race. Lap 5, and he's into P5.
Yeah, Wilson again just showing how quick he has been in these first 5 laps of the Grand Prix. Hopefully not wearing his tyres out too much in this early part of the stint, but he really has sort of come alive in this first 5 laps, and if he can get past Fern and Sav, he might be the only driver really that has a legitimate shout of catching up to the top 2 out in front. And if he uses the DRS and his ERS correctly, he will definitely be someone to look out for at the top, near enough midway through this race.
And there goes Smokey as well, past the Ferrari of Levi, and that he doesn't want to lose Wilson. Smokey's trying to keep up with Wilson at the moment. These two very, very quick. It's quite obvious to see that with the way the championship's going. Let's have a look from the rear view mirror of Smokey. He's starting to pull away from a little bit from Levi into turn 1. They go, and it's sticking like that. But Sav's caught up a little bit to Scyther ahead. This is an interesting development, because he was dropped quite quickly, but now he's starting to bring things back together.
Yeah, he is. I think that Cypher's starting to use a bit less ERS, maybe just trying to conserve it a bit more. So is Otis as well. I mean, they're probably just going to try and conserve it a bit and then go for another absolute charge ahead of everyone else. But yeah, Sav doing well to try and bring this gap down to the cars in front. He nearly gets in a spin on the exit of 10. But yeah, nicely done by the top two so far. But Sav is showing that he can close up that tiny bit, but that has now really sort of lost the gap to the two ahead that he did gain on them.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame on his side. Matthew's unable to get through past Levi either. His medium compound tyre is not working to the effect that he would have wanted as they round themselves through the wall of champions chicane there. And in the background, that looks like maybe M Racer made a mistake out of that with McCabe Sam behind. It doesn't look like it was too bad because he didn't go swerving and smashing off, but that gap between M Racer and McCabe Sam now 1.2 seconds, and it's not the M Racer we know. We knew how good, and we know how good he is, but it's just not. Yeah, it's just not happening at the moment for him, unfortunately. The Fern, though, again, we brought him up a few times. I'm surprised at how high up he is this race, and he's showing he can battle it with the big boys.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he probably has one of the best ERSs on the grid, the best amount of ERS he has in his bank, with a good, 50%. So he is definitely one to keep an eye on during this race. But now Matthew sending it up the inside of Levi into the hairpin and has got him on the exit. A nice move from Matthew behind these lot, but he is maybe risking losing DRS to Smokey ahead. He just about is within it so far, but that was really close to him losing that DRS, and really has to really use these mediums to catch back up, and he needs to make these mediums work if he wants any chance of getting up to at least a podium during this race.
Yeah, he's struggling at the moment, is FRA Matthew, to clear some of these guys. They're obviously on the slower compound tyre for the time being, but that will change very quickly from medium to hard. And when it gets to hard, he's going to have a difficult job of keeping those tyres in the right areas. And then he's got to come out of the pits, and it's notoriously hard to get the hards warmed up.
Yeah, it really is. It's probably one of the hardest things to do when you come out the pit lane, is focus on getting the tyres warmed up. It's even hard on the softs, but the hards, they're just a nightmare to heat up. But he is closing up to the pack ahead. It may be because they're getting held up, but he just needs to focus on this stint now and then focus on the next stint later. But here comes Fern on Sav, a move from the AlphaTauri before the chicane with the DRS, and now that allows Wilson to maybe catch up to Sav. He does make a mistake coming out of the chicane, but now going down into turn 1. Will Wilson go for it? No, he will not. And he sticks behind the Haas.
Yeah, Wilson's got to be careful that he can't lose too much for Fern ahead. He wants to be able to attack and battle. But now I suppose we get to see Fern's true pace. Is he able to pull away from PSR Sav and make the best of those tyres, or is he at the same pace as Sav? We will find out over the next couple of laps, I'm sure. Cyther, though, not losing ground to Otis Lawrence, is still sticking between it's been 1.3, 1.5, 1.7 various times over the last couple of laps. So he is at a similar pace to Otis at the moment, but they are pulling away from this battle for P3.
Yeah, they are. It seems that Fern is starting to pull away from Sav a tiny bit, but the DRS is just keeping the Haas of Sav in it. And I think that Fern has closed in a tiny bit, about 2 to 3 temps on the Williams ahead, as Smokey is nearly trying to move on Wilson further back. Cannot get it done, but it seems that Fern is really a bit quicker than Sav, and maybe Sav was just holding him up from his true pace, but we'll see what he can do further along the line, as this is really just his first few laps, getting comfortable with the clean air and seeing what his car can really do.
Yeah, this is an interesting point of view, because down that last straight, WR Smokey was in the diffuser of Wilson, but Wilson was harvesting, he was saving. So obviously he's planning his next move. He was quite lucky that Smokey didn't make a move on him, otherwise he would have had to do something or change his plans a little bit. Levi has picked up that penalty early on in the race, and it's nearly losing ground to Matthew ahead. His pace just doesn't seem to be here at the moment, and he's going to continue putting any pressure on Matthew, and he could lose ground and have Sata behind claim that position and get through, another car for the Ferrari driver to battle for.
Yeah, it seems that Levi has near enough no ERS left. I think he did actually hit 0 before the hairpin. But Smokey is going down the inside of Wilson for P5. They just about leave each other enough room through turn 1. Now turn 2. Smokey has been struggling on the power throughout the qualifying session, and he manages to has to stay behind, and Wilson manages to stay ahead of the Red Bull, sorry. And Wilson fending off that first attack from the Red Bull, and Smokey will definitely be trying again, if probably this lap.
But I'm looking at it from Smokey's point of view, and it's constant harvesting from Wilson, so that could be problematic for the Alpine driver ahead. And very, very close from Smokey's point of view, nearly careering into the back end of the Alpine. Again, the Alpine is harvesting. I just don't get. Well, they both are harvesting now into this last straight, but they both look like they were quicker than Sav before. But now they've plateaued a little bit.
Yeah, I think the battle hasn't helped through the first few corners, but Sav was holding up this train. But now within that DRS, it's sort of may have rekindled his pace, as Fern has actually closed in about half a second on Cypher ahead, and is really, really showing his true pace. So maybe he can battle with the Williams up in about the pit window. And yeah, Sav has actually dropped out of the DRS now, so it's now really Wilson and Smokey's opportunity to really try and get past the Haas and try leaving behind.
This is cracking stuff from PSR Fern, pulling away, and it's going to leave Sav in a world of pain down the back straight if Sav can't do anything into... I don't think he's got that activation point close enough. I think he was too far away, and Wilson is going to see this opportunity to try make the move. Yellow flag in, and that is Finn. He's made a mistake out of turn 9, and that could cause no end of trouble if his car is getting back going. So that is good news for him. But let's look at it from Wilson's point of view, as he's all over the back of the Haas. I don't know if it's going to be enough straight for him to make the move into turn 1. Wilson does not dive up the inside, and he waits for another lap. Will he get another opportunity to do that?
I mean, if Sav hurries up, then no, he will not. But it does seem that Fern is just getting that edge on the DRS zones on his PSR teammate and the Haas of Sav, but it doesn't... I mean, Wilson, if will really need to try and make it into the first into the chicane and the first DRS zone that's coming up in a second, but it's definitely not a situation he wants to be in where he passes someone who doesn't have DRS, then he can't defend with the DRS himself and really needs to just try and catch up to Fern instead. But I mean, Sav is sort of starting to hold up this train of cars, and Fern is really, really closing, nearly gaining a second already on Cypher ahead, and really leaving his teammate, the Haas of Sav in the dust, as here comes Wilson, getting ever closer going into the chicane. He doesn't go for the move, he'll need to get a good exit out of the final chicane. Levi gets another penalty, but will Wilson be close enough for a move? It surely he is this time. Will he send it into turn 1? No, he will not. He backs out of it and waits one more lap probably to make sure he can pull that move off nice and cleanly.
Yeah, Wilson is holding back, but could this be to his detriment as well? Because while every time he does that, Smokey is very, very dangerous behind him. And we've already seen him try and make a few overtakes a few times already. And yeah, Levi having a massive mistake, picking up another 3-second time penalties. There is penalties for Finn, Bob, Akos and Finn as well. And Finn has had to make a pit stop for the accident he made a few moments ago on turn 9. But here is Wilson again, close to the back end of Sav. And it looks like Sav is just deploying everything on this last straight to defend from Wilson. And his initial drive is so much more cleaner than Wilson. But Wilson surely has him this time around. Surely ever so close up the inside way before turn 13. And the move is done for the Alpine driver. And there he's got PSR Fern for company as there's Sater picking up a 5-second penalty as he's retired in the pit lane. And here comes Smokey as well up the inside of the Haas. Sav is in major trouble around the outside. Again, Smokey goes, but it's just not enough. And there goes his opportunity to overtake. And Sato is not having the best of days at all. And I'm not sure why he was forced into the pits there.
Yeah, that's him out of this race. It's not really been the best of Grand Prix for him. And Smokey's probably maybe one and only opportunity at the minute. Has not gone to plan, as now Sav does have the DRS on Wilson ahead, but Smokey really needed to get past the Haas of Sav. But again, the traction troubles causing him more issues to get past another driver and it not working out. But Wilson trying to go out wide to get a better exit to try to fend from Sav. So we'll see what happens between these two now going down into the final chicane. And Sav's not actually using anything. He's just probably going to save up some ERS and then go for one attack on the Alpinas. That's Matthew flying into the pit lane in the background as he will come off the mediums and now go onto those hards.
Yeah, so he's making the pit stop work for him, and PSR Connor then picking up a penalty for multiple warnings. Ferrari driver not having the best of lucks, neither of them, unfortunately, this time. But interesting to see that Matthews pitted that time. I suppose it is probably about the right time for the mediums, to be perfectly honest. Let's see what he can do. He's got to heat those tyres up. He's got to get it working really quickly so he can start being the quicker driver and try and maybe jump some of these drivers from an undercut perspective and get a decent amount of time to them. So when they continue to fight, when they come out of the pit stops, because that's what they will do, he's got the gap, and for his sake, he'll be able to defend it.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew, this early box can help in his favour because he will be on the fresher tyres and they will be a lot quicker than these older tyres. And, I mean, he's outside the DRS, which could affect him due to the amount of DRS zones on, like, the free only straights where it's long enough for a DRS zone. But with these fresher mediums, he'll be quicker through the corners. He might be able to get the undercut on these lot ahead, but he'll have to do a very, very good job in defending as Sav hits the grass and goes wide. This can invite Smokey to make an attack. He just cannot do so, but Matthew's undercut could work out if he pushes hard enough. And
they continue to battle away like this as well. McCabe Sam only just being able to make it back into the DRS of these guys ahead after the pit stop for Matthew, and he's now 6.5 seconds behind PSR Connor in P16 and 17 respectively between the two of them there. And now Cyber now 2 seconds behind Otis. But look at that. PSR Fern is absolutely on fire. He is driving like a man possessed tonight, and this is great to see. We could see another new podium sitter this week, and PSR Fern is very, very deserving after that race, after the race so far.
Yeah, I was literally just about to comment on how close Fern was on the Williams of Cypher up in front, and he's driven absolutely brilliantly. He's not got a penalty so far trying to catch up. He's just been cracking on with his own races. Smokey actually comes into the pit lane, which could be a bit of an early pit stop for some of these hard runners, maybe trying the undercut on the cars ahead. But yeah, Fern driving absolutely brilliantly so far to catch up. Probably one of the quickest drivers we've seen so far this season in Cypher, and he's now within the DRS, so these two could start to get a little bit punchy and maybe Fern will be able to make a move on the Williams ahead at some point in the next few laps.
Stayed on board with Smokey as the pit stops happened, and Matthew very, very close to claiming the position, but it's just not happened for him, unfortunately. He's all over the back of that Red Bull. However, if he can keep up with this could work to his advantage. But that is Sav. Sav is around, and all his hard work, all his battling away has come undone. He's got half a front, well, no front end wing, and there's an Alfa Romeo and Amin as well. Finbob and Amin both up the inside of the Haas driver, and he's lost multiple positions there. Into the pits, I think, is WO Wilson in there as well, and these guys still 3 wide down the last straight, but nothing doing. And into the pits for both Axe and Sav. That's such a shame for some of those drivers who's lost out massively, but I've got to go on board back with Smokey, as FRA Matthew unable to keep massively into that as well. But where is Smokey in all this? Because is there going to be an undercut, an undercut for these drivers? I think it is. There goes Wilson. Has Matthew got enough? I don't think there's enough grip in those hards, and Wilson snips into the middle of the two of them.
Yeah, so Smokey pulling off that undercut has worked out for him, and he's already out of the DR. Oh, he might just be out of the DRS already, but Wilson staying out that extra lap has not really paid off, and he just stays ahead of Matthew, so he was lucky in that aspect. But Smokey has pulled away from him due to that earlier lap on the mediums, but that could come back to bite him in the long run if they've boxed just as the pit window starts. And if not before the pit window, because they'll really need to conserve these tyres. But it seems that Matthew, all over the back of Wilson, can maybe get a move pulled off with the DRS, which Wilson doesn't have. So here we go, on board with Matthew going down the long straight into the chicane, and he gets the move done before he even needs to brake.
He's just on board with the other AlphaTauri of Fern as he got close, but Fern then made a mistake. And now Matthew, I didn't know which one to stick on board with. There was so much going on, but Fern has made a mistake. He's 3.3 seconds behind. Oh, is he? Is he 3.3 seconds behind? He can't be. Oh, no, it's gone to leader. It's changed to leader, which really confused me. My battling away, but we have lost the driver. That's Connor around, and now his teammate gets past.
Yeah, Connor not having the best of races so far. I think I also saw Finn go round on the exit of the chicane, so he's back in the pit lane and retires. But Connor tried staying out that extra few laps longer, and it seemed not to work out so far, having that spin on the exit of the chicane. But here comes Fern. Will he be able to make the move into turn 1? No, he boxes. He goes straight into the pit lane, and this could be crucial because we saw what happened with Smokey, and there's a virtual safety car. This really helps Fern.
Has Fern just pulled off an absolute incredible strategy? He's going to beat everyone out, everyone else. The luck gods have fallen on PSR Fern, and I don't think he's going to lose too many places at all. Where is WR Smokey? There he is. All that hard work the guys have done to undercut has not worked out, and he's got an incredible strategy out here.
If the safe VSC comes in before Otis and Cypher get round the circuit, Fern has hit the jackpot. He'll be about 5 seconds ahead of Otis that he'll need to catch and then pass. As they say, catching is one thing, passing is another. But Fern, maybe this undercut really has worked, but it doesn't. And the VSC's come in. Fern has had a master stroke here. Maybe luck, but he was going to box anyway. And he will come out ahead of the likes of Cypher and Otis during the pit stops.
So Choco has retired in the pit lane as well. In comes Otis. McCabe, Sam have got through as well. There's battling away between Wilson and Matthew as well as they come down the back straight, or the last straight, as everyone's saving their ERS as best as possible. But McCabe, Sam has got away from all that as well. Where is Otis Lawrence as he's coming out the pit lane? Is it going to work? Has Fern done anything about it? Fern, unfortunate for him, has not come out in front of Otis Lawrence, but that's how much he gained. He's now going to battle away with the championship leader.
I think if the VSC come in a tiny bit earlier, he would have got Otis, but I mean, he will get past Cypher with the undercut here because it's about 12 seconds between him and Fern will definitely be able to get past then. But now that Fern's inside the DRS of Otis, maybe we could see the move from Fern, because I mean, there's plenty of DRS zones around here, and if he doesn't make a mistake, it will be very, very important for him to stick inside that and maybe get the move done, as Levi gets past Matthew but goes deep, and Matthew does the switcheroo and gets back ahead. But if we go back on board with Fern, he is closing ever slightly down the straights, and he's on for a really good shout for a P2, if not a P3.
Fern, fastest man on the track. This is incredible stuff. All he's got to do is just keep within the DRS of Otis, and he's got a chance of something special here tonight. He's doing a phenomenal job in the AlphaTauri. I will go back to McCabe Sam versus WR Wilson. McCabe Sam versus WR Smokey, sorry, for the battle for P. WR Wilson, McCabe Sam. I have got that right. For the battle for P5, but I think Cyther's lost the podium here because Smokey is going to grab that last podium spot with how things have come out at the moment.
Yeah, it's not working Cypher's favour, staying out so long. McCabe Sam also benefited from that VSC because he's now jumped a few cars and is ahead of the drivers that he was struggling to keep up with in the DRS train, as Cypher does finally come into the pit lane. But yeah, he will fall down quite a few places, if not behind McCabe Sam, as it seems that Wilson's made a mistake and is now 1.4 behind McCabe Sam and might be under attack from Matthew in the next few laps.
Penalties galore are coming through now as well. McCabe Sam picking up a 3-second time penalty. Where is Scyther in all this? McCabe Sam is... Where is Scyther? He's just coming out the pit lane now. He's going to be side by side with McCabe Sam, but it's not going to be enough. He's gone. He's going to have the tyre life at the end, and that might help Scyther catch Smokey ahead. Wilson picking up a time penalty as well. They are coming in thick and fast. The top four are 4 of only 6 drivers to yet receive a penalty. That is mental.
Yeah, it shows how really clean and consistent these drivers have been in this top 4 and not really pushing the track limits as much as they possibly can. But I mean, Fern's still sticking within the DRS of Otis. McCabe Sam just needs to stick within the DRS of Cypher. If Cypher can catch up to Smokey, he can be pulled along. But as it seems, some drivers who we didn't really think would be on for the likes of a podium are actually inside the podium and having a quite good race by their standards.
This is great to see the likes of Fern and McCabe Sam producing some cracking drives at the moment. Levi getting very close to the back end of FRA Matthew, but it's not going to be close enough this time of asking. But Matthew's dropping her slightly from Wilson. But something we've got to remember is Matthew's tyres might actually be the ones that want to be on at the end. And that could be problematic for some of these drivers ahead. Obviously, the ones without penalties could be problems. But if he can continue to keep it safe, clear and within the white lines and not pick up any more penalties, he could be definitely one to pick up a fair few more places.
Yeah, he certainly can. It's all about how he conserves as well as Connor retires now. And one thing I've actually been surprised about so far is, yes, we've had a virtual safety car, but we've had no full safety car just yet in the session. But as we see, Fern has dropped out of Otis's DRS, and unfortunately that run of the DRS has come to an end as Otis has really switched on the burners and flown away. But McCabe Sam still sticking in Cypher's DRS and really hustling along here.
Yeah, McCabe Sam is doing a phenomenal job in P5, and I'm just looking at you know what? I don't think Smokey's going to be able to catch Fern with the way the timing's going. Even outside of the DRS, Fern is still looking quicker than the Red Bull driver, and it's great to see someone else towards the top as well. And that will do PSR Fern's confidence a hell of a lot, and we could see better moving forward from him as well and making himself a regular towards the top.
Yeah, hopefully it does really help out his confidence, and the way he drives now, he might be a lot more, maybe a bit more like faster through some of the corners, and it really does help a lot the higher you are in some of these races, and it really sort of also gets your name out there for like faster racing, higher tier. Well, I know this is the highest tier, but like for esports teams and stuff like that, it definitely can help out Fern a lot by doing such a good drive, especially around a track like this, where one mistake, it's either you in the wall or losing your front wing. So this mature drive from Fern, who was not really the quickest to drive as a few seasons ago, back down in like the likes of tier 4, it really shows how much he has progressed so far on this game and last.
Yeah, it's cracking to see as M-Racer finally showing a bit of pace that we know he has and getting past Lacey for P9. But Lacey with that no penalties, one of the only other driver. And I'm saying that Smokey has picked up a penalty as well, so only 4 drivers yet to receive a penalty, and Smokey might be struggling a little bit. Scyther is catching up that gap. It's 2 seconds now. McCabe Sam losing it, losing the DRS to Scyther. So WR Wilson has a shot at attacking the Aston Martin as they round turn 10 here. The hairpin, a little kink to the right for turn 11. Turn 11 is more the kink to the left, and then the kink to the right is turn 12 as they go through it now on the last straight. And WR Wilson at the moment hasn't got enough to him to make a move into turn 13. But in the background, we see Levi getting past FRA Matthew, and that is him up a position. Will Wilson make the same move into turn 1 on the Aston Martin? He thinks better of it and stays behind for another lap.
Matthew must have made a mistake, because he's now about 2 seconds behind the likes of Wilson, so we definitely didn't see that, because he was right up, just about losing DRS about 2 laps ago. So either he's made a mistake or his hards just aren't working at the minute. So that is something he doesn't really want coming near the end of this race, if his hards are not really at their best, as they are 12 laps old now, the oldest tyres on the grid so far. And it seems that this train is starting to split out a bit more. Cypher is gaining rapidly on Smokey, so Smokey maybe not feeling so confident on his mediums. And I mean, Smokey could still lose this podium to Cypher behind, and Cypher can reclaim what we thought was his at the start of this race.
Yeah, I think Smokey as well. I think it was 4.2 to Fern, just when I was mentioning about times between Fern, and Fern is doing a phenomenal job. He's bringing back Otis at the moment. But Smokey, the oldest medium tyres on the grid right now, I think that virtual safety car has definitely not helped his way. But not great. And I think Matthew is really going to struggle with his tyres as well. So the bad luck continues for the Alfa Romeo driver, but Wilson unable to make a move on McCabe Sam just yet either. So let's have a look at the timing screen, the penalty screen, sorry. And things are, at the moment, just yet not working in their favour of the likes of, Levi, who's got 6 seconds of penalties. That's huge.
Yeah, that could be really costly. I know some drivers have the likes of 3 seconds, but having a 6 seconds in terms of penalties, that can send him down a few places, and it certainly is at the minute. He's going down about 2-3 places so far, but he has closed up quite a lot on Wilson since he's moved on Matthew. He was about 2 seconds behind when he made the move. He's now 1.2 behind, so he's definitely pushing along. Maybe some of these drivers not feeling so confident on the alternate tyre, and then some of them are really starting to fly and push away on the likes of the mediums or the hards. Well, mainly all mediums right now, but it definitely shows the types of drivers and their driving styles and what tyre they really can hook up in the races.
Smokey's obviously tried this strategy on his before. Matthew must have pitted far too early for the Haas, because he's now dropping and dropping, and he's got M Racer for company just behind. So Matthew is going from worse to worse for him. Obviously, the alternate strategy from where he was at the start of the race was probably the best idea, but it's just not worked out for him at the moment. PSR Levi then going quite wide at the exit of turn 10 and could lose time to Wilson ahead because of it. I think it's going to settle. But McCabe Sam has found a second wind out of all this and is starting to pull away from Wilson again. So it's still happening here, and that is an Alfa Romeo around, and that is HSR Amin who's around, and I wonder how that has come about.
I think that might purely be by himself. I don't think he was actually near anyone on the track, so he must have spun on the power. As Sav gets 3 seconds now, he's down in P14 as he was so high up the order and doing very good work to defend from the cars behind, but that one spin has sort of put an end to his race so far. Lap 31 of 35, so we are near the end, so drivers better start making their moves now if they are close enough. As Wilson, he just keeps getting closer and closer, but he just can't pull off the end product, and really needs to try and make this move just to be able to keep, to get P5 at the end of this race as Amine retires from the session.
Not ideal for him. Max picking up another 3-second time penalty to his name in P11. I don't think he'll be getting points now with everything that's going on. Wilson getting close again. Yellow flags for Amin's car that's gone retired from the session. Hopefully that doesn't cause any trouble for the leaders as they run through it. Wilson gets close to the back end of the Aston Martin again, but there's just not enough straight for him to get anything sorted, and he's going to stay behind. And this is something I think we saw early doors for Wilson. There's just not enough straight, and he's not willing to make a last gasp move.
Yeah, he's playing it a bit conservatively, but it's coming near the end of the race. I mean, he's always been good at sort of having these quiet races, but this one's been a bit more of a louder race for him. He's been quite quiet, picking up some of the points in some of these races, but M Racer got past Matthew just now, going down the long DRX straight going into the final chicane. So Matthew's still tumbling down the order and might even get out, be out of the points at this rate if he keeps at this rate. But yeah, Wilson just not really being brave enough at the minute to make the move on McCabe Sam at the minute. If he just goes for it, he probably could make the overtake. I reckon McCabe Sam will give him enough room, but M Racer, I said he's just made the overtake and he's rounding in the wall.
Oh, what unfortunate luck for him. I was just about to quickly check the ERS usage between the two, and it's looking very much more Wilson. But let's have a quick look at M Racer and see what sort of damage that Red Bull has. There is front end plate damage, and I wonder if he'll just pop in the pits and retire, or if he's done exactly that, unfortunately. So we've lost 6 drivers tonight so far. I thought he might have gone out and just reminded everyone why he was, why he is a tier 1 driver, and gone on a set of softs and just blown the fastest lap away. But he's decided against that and had an early shower, let's say. But here comes Smokey. 2.5 laps remaining of this Canadian Grand Prix. PSR Fern then just saving his tyres a little bit and dropping from Otis at the top of the grid. But Smokey and Scyther, this is where the battle's at. The final podium positions at the moment, barring a penalty or something terribly wrong going for Cyber, is going to be Cyber's. But he's probably going to want to overtake Smokey on track, because that's the type of person he is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to get that position on track, but I mean, he can be a bit more conservative and a bit not as risky on how he makes the move on Smokey, but I reckon he will love to make the move going maybe even on the final lap just to give us that little bit of action. But it seems that Wilson is catching up to McCabe Sam again, just not getting close enough to make the move. But I reckon he will do it in the next few corners, as he really needs to do it if he wants that P5 from the Aston Martin. But he is on the older tyres, so somehow keeping with that Aston Martin. I know it's only a 2-lap difference, but that can be key in when the tyres fall off the cliff. But he just seems to not be able to get close enough as we're nearly heading on to the final lap of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, the penultimate lap we are on, and here comes Cyther. He's not getting any closer to Smokey at the moment. And the six lap older tyres of Smokey is working wonders at the moment. Cyther then into turns 13 and 14. Nothing doing. All he has to do is keep it within the white lines, and that podium is his. Wilson then all over the back of McCabe Sam. Is he going to make anything work? Harvesting for the Aston Martin. He's got defensive into turn 1. Can Wilson... Oh, he's tried to go around the outside, but Wilson wasn't having any... McCabe Sam wasn't having any of it, and now it leaves Levi to attack the Alpine driver into turn 3 and 4. But again, nothing doing on this occasion for either of those two drivers, and I wonder if Wilson's feeling a little bit hurt by that closing of the door at the exit of turn 1. But I'm sure he's going to go again defensive for McCabe Sam as they come down the into sector 2, the middle of sector 2, and now the exit of turn number 9, and the Alpine driver at the moment unable to do anything. Otis is going to win this race. Cyther is very close to Smokey, but the freeway battle for P5 is where it's at the moment. Is Cyther actually going to make a move? Let's have a look. He's getting closer and closer and closer into turn 13. He's going to think of it. We've had controversy here in Xbox Tier 1 before, but not tonight. That's sticking doing. Wilson isn't able to get the move done as well. Actually, Cyther has got past in the end. I think there was a little bit of a let off.
Oh!
McCabe Sam out of fuel.
I was literally just about to say that. Yeah, McCabe Sam running out of fuel. That is huge. He dropped down behind Wilson. He was doing so well to defend. Maybe that's why he was going a bit slower and holding him up. But he ran out of fuel just as he reached the line. So Wilson does get that P5 in the end. There was a bit of luck to it, but he was all over the back of McCabe Sam that whole entire time. But Cypher does get Smokey in the end, so that is good for him. And yeah, wow. Otis with a really good drive out in front there, and it was a lights the flag, I want to say. I think it was a Grand Slammer as well, so that's good for him. But Fern in P2, round of applause to him. Absolutely outstanding drive from him today, and showed what he really is made of.
That is cracking stuff. The game's given driver of the day to Smokey. I mean, that stint at the end was absolutely cracking from him. While all this is coming down, I'll ask, all the pomp ceremony of the podium. Who was your driver of the day? Does it go to Fern?
Yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Fern. He drove absolutely brilliantly. I mean, it could go to McCabe Sam for a brilliant drive from him from 11th on the grid to finish P6, which should have been P5, but wasn't too good on the fuel saving. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Fern. He drove absolutely brilliantly. Quick throughout the qualifying and the race. He was absolutely amazing, and yeah, driver of the day goes to Fern for me.
That was a cracking one, and yeah, McCabe Sam definitely having McCabe Sam definitely having a great race, but PSR Fern, driver of the day for me as well. I mean, some good drives throughout. I mean, Placky so close to points from starting 19th on the grid. Otis, cracking race from him. Akos at the end taking away the Grand Slam away from him, and it was Otis obviously with the victory, with Fern and Cyther rounding out the podium positions. In 4th place was Smokey, with Wilson in 5th. McCabe Sam running out of fuel in 6th, with 7th going to Lacey. 8th, Matthew got points in the end for him there. Levi 9th in the end with 9 seconds worth of penalties. 10th place in the final point scoring position goes to Axe in the end as well. Placky, Sav, Finn, Bob, Akos were your remaining finishers, with M-Racer, Amin, Connor, Choco, Finn and Sater all retiring, unfortunately, tonight, and not the best of races for them. Steve, obviously this has been a different one to our last encounter together at, I'm trying to remember, it was Silverstone, wasn't it? You know, we had Otis run through the field, but this time we had Otis dominate the field.
Yeah, it just showed, both races really showed what Otis could really do, passing and just leading from the front wise. But I mean, they were two very different races. What the first one, Silverstone, was a DRS train throughout, but many overtakes being done, and this one was mainly about strategy and the actual pace of some of the drivers. But I mean, this race was a good one. I mean, there were some overtakes throughout, some mistakes. As I said, this track was very unforgiving, as I said at the beginning. But yeah, this was a bit more of the, for the brainier F1 fans, for the ones that mainly like the strategy and not really that many of the ballsy overtakes like there was around Silverstone. But I mean, it was still a brilliant race. I mean, Fern pulling off somehow a masterclass of a strategy, which could be referred to as luck, but I like to give him the credit for that. But yeah, so I mean, this track showed a good race today, and hopefully it can for all the other tiers throughout the week.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one throughout. We are going to see if any of the podium finishers want to have a chat with us after that race. It's Canada's always a little bit of an odd one, but that rain in the pit lane, that rain in the qualifying, definitely made things a little bit more interesting. Obviously, the likes of Placky and Finn unable to do faster lap times than we were expecting because of all this. But we had some nice stuff through that as well, and I do believe we're going to get the race winner and the championship leader in with us. And at that point, Steve, I will very much hand over to you to ask the championship leader and race winner for Canada some questions.
I've got to try think of them on the spot. So, hello Otis, congratulations on the
Hello.
P1 today.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, good drive from you throughout. It was nearly a grand slam if Akos didn't get the fastest lap from you, but yeah, good race. So what are your thoughts on the whole qualifying, the rain at the start, and then the whole race throughout?
I was very confident, obviously. Full focused. I really like the rain on this game. Well, I've always been really good at the rain, so it wasn't really a worry. So, just full focus and try and win the race, as I did.
Yeah, it was a pretty confident, sort of just comfortable drive for you today. And was there any thoughts that Cypher would get close to you and maybe that make the moves during the race, or were your really aim, was it just lead out in front, try be as far ahead as possible, and was it really that sort of aim, or was it just try defend from Cypher as much as possible?
Well, I don't really think of defending from Skip. All I'm thinking of is just driving as fast as I can, really. Save the tyres, and just pull away as much as I can, really.
Yeah, I mean, Warder, do you have any questions for Otis today?
Yeah, so obviously the virtual safety car came out and it's caused a little bit of a headache for some people. Were you always going to pit at that point, or did you see Fern have a little bit luck to his side at that point, and did you think you had to pit?
Yeah, I definitely had to pit. I was gonna pit that lap anyway, to be fair. So yeah, got very close on exit, and a bit of nerves just shot through me then. So yeah, had a bit of ERS and just push again, and exit out of cruise control.
It worked out for you in the end there, but I think at that point he was sticking with you, and it was great to see a different name attack you this race weekend. But were you expecting it from Fern?
Definitely not. He drove really fast. Well, he drove brilliantly. Whole race, he was very fast. So I'll give props to him. And yeah, GG's.
And it's not over yet. The season isn't definitely not over yet. Next up is Monza, I believe. It's Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, Monza.
Is it a track you like? Are we going to see another masterclass from you there, or is it something? Is this a track that we could see you drop away?
Yeah, it's definitely. I really like the track. Not my favorite track, but it's definitely a track I really like. This game has made it a lot more fun to drive, so pretty confident going into Monza. So just try and win again.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on your victory, Otis. Steve, anything from you for Otis?
Thank you.
I was going to ask about Monza next week, and do you reckon you can keep this up for the rest of the season? Just try keep us winning as many races as possible, and maybe try sweep the rest of the season?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just try and win every race of the season now, for the PC comes. Yeah, just try and win every race, and I'm trying to go for the record in WR. I don't know what the record is, how many races in one season, but trying to get the record, I guess. And yeah.
I don't think you're too far off it, Otis, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Do you know how many wins there is?
I don't, but I'm definitely going to find this out now.
Yeah.
So am I.
Fantastic. Well, good luck for the remainder of the season, Otis. I'm sure. I am certain I'm going to speak to you very, very soon. Anyway.
Definitely. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Seems like we've only got the one so far this week, Steve. Which I'd be love to be able to speak to maybe Fern or Smokey, but they have decided against it this week. Which is fair enough. It's their choice. I mean, final words from you, because while it has been a little bit of a DRS train at times, it still had its entertaining moments, and also that virtual safety car, spiced things up massively.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to speak to Fern about his views and thoughts on the race and what he thought about everything that happened, but yeah, there was, some good moments. There was some bits of a lull because of the DRS trains and people not being sort of brave enough to go for the moves because they thought about their championship. But there was some brilliant drives, and yeah, it was definitely a race that would be looked back on as a key part of the championship so far.
Yeah, some cracking drives, and maybe it's massively helped VSR Smokey in his quest, I suppose, for second place in the championship, because Wilson behind him, Scyther, obviously finished ahead of him, but he was the points difference isn't that much. No LCR Leopard today. That was huge. Such a shame for not to see the German here tonight. I'm not sure about the football either, so I'm not sure if that's a mixture in things, but I don't want to know the score just yet. I'll rewatch that later on. But yeah, I mean, Smokey's done fantastic, especially on those. I want to pick up on this just slightly. He had the oldest medium tyres on the grid, and that was a hard task for him to keep ahead of Scyther. Obviously, he had that penalty that was going to let it go anyway, but what he did, it was a cracking drive from him.
Yeah, he did really well to defend from Scyther, who was on those much fresher mediums. And those last few laps, he could have easily just been overtaken, but he did well to defend from that. And I reckon if he may have hit a few laps later, I reckon he could have been a lot quicker and coming near the end of the race. But because of how early he boxed to get that undercut, it did sort of make him lose a bit of time there and sort of not really play into his hands at the end of the race. But still a really good drive from him, like P7 on the grid to P4. So the strategy worked out in his favour anyway to get past Wilson. So yeah, it was a good drive from him as well today.
Yeah, fantastic job from him. But I suppose that is us done for this week. absolutely amazing having you alongside me in the comms box again. Thank you very much. Maybe we should start calling you Ryan 2.0.
Yeah.
Not sure how that would work, but yeah, thank you very much. Have you got any final outlays before I close the stream?
Just bye-bye, everyone. Watch the rest of the tiers. I'll be commentating tier 3 tomorrow, so hopefully looking for a good one in that. And yeah, just bye-bye. I mean, thank you for having me in the comms box, and yeah, it was a good race, and yeah, bye-bye, everyone.
Fantastic. Make sure you do watch the remainder of the races this week. Canada is going to be massive. As Steve has already said, he is in tier 3 tomorrow. It will be great to have you there watching along and seeing how the guys handle the pressure in tier 3. There is obviously tier 2 tomorrow and other tiers throughout the week before the legacy division is on Friday, I believe. I might have got that incredibly wrong though, so don't take my word on it. Go to the social media, they'll have all the action and all the information on the action that is going to happen. It's been an incredible one here in tier 1 Canada. Not as controversial as last year between Alfie and Shadow, but we have had the powerhouse of Otis really run away with it. It's been great, and we'll see you next week at Monza.